So here we are taking a look at something extra that I picked up this month from MattyCollector.com. They've sold these a couple of times and I passed on them. I just couldn't hold off this time around, so I finally picked up the Eternian Palace Guards. And you can see here the back of the box. You got the cross-cell figures and the little bio right there, and you take a look at the figures. Now what's neat about these figures is that they're very customizable, and you get a lot of weapons, you get a lot of extra spare parts, extra heads, face plates, and such. And we'll just take a look at the little bit of the sculpt of the figure in general. It's pretty much the man-at-arms. With different boots. You can see here, let's bring in regular man-at-arms. You can see he's got the furry boots, and the guards have the smooth boots there from, I don't know who they're from, but they're probably been used before or again since being used for these guys. You also notice that Man-at-Arms does not have the right side armored, so they have new armor pieces for both the legs and arms there, but similar to the style of the left armor that is just reused for the figure. You can see the difference, slight difference in the helmets there, and the chest pieces, which are totally different. And there's a good reason for that, which is part of the customability of these figures. The paint, if you notice, it's not as dark. The greens and the oranges are really not as dark as the Man-at-Arms thing is. I'd say it's a duller kind of a color. There's not as much life to it, unfortunately. But you do get the gold accents on the armor, which is pretty nice. You get it all over the boots, the arms, and the chest piece as well. Now, the accessories, we'll take a look at the heads first. And you can see, first up we have this sculpt. And fans of Mattel might recognize that face. Yes, it is indeed the brand manager, Scott Knightlick's face there used in this sculpt. So, and you might have noticed that Lieutenant Spectre is mentioned in the bio on the back of the box, so this would be Lieutenant Spectre, who would eventually become the Mighty Spectre. So next we have a, well, I don't want to say African American, but a Eternian of a different color there. I don't know exactly what they would call it on Eternia. I'll just say that he's black. I don't think that's too offensive. So, We also have a cat head, very nicely detailed. Look at all the sculpting they did on that fur. Very nice. Nice green eyes in there. Really, really like it. And last, we have a lizard slash snake face, which I'll get back to that towards the end of the review here. But again, very nicely sculpted. As you may have noticed, the breastplates here are removable, and they give you 4 different ones. You get the eagle, which designates an officer, I'm guessing, since that is Lieutenant Spectre. I put the eagle on him. You do get a regular undamaged version of the chest plate, and you get a battle damaged one with 1 strike against it, much like the battle damaged He-Man and Skeletor, and you get a more severely damaged one as well. And they're quite easy to remove and replace. You just snap off the 2 halves of the chest there, and you can see how they just lay in there, and you gently put that out, and you can slide in the other, and there you go. And you'll also notice that they do come with 2 little face masks, face plates that will connect into the holes on the sides of the helmet there, and you can give them a more battle ready look. Or the way I like to think of it is that, also kind of denoting rank here, is that the lower ranked guys would wear these face plates, and someone like a lieutenant here who would be giving commands would not wear it because he would need to be heard during battle. And so that's just a neat way to sort of determine rank, I guess. Kind of logical to me. I don't know about it, how about it is to you. So we'll be taking a look now at the weapons. You do get 2 shields here. The shields don't really clip in too well around the wrist because of the armor here, but you can kind of trick them out there, and they will stay on there as long as you don't jostle them too much. And so that's okay. I gave the lieutenant this smaller axe. Again, I think that would be a weapon more befitting a commander who would need to be kind of mobile and maybe need to go different places. So he wouldn't want to carry around a heavy weapon like a mace or one of the halberds. You do get 2 of the halberds, these axe-type weapons with a little, I guess, pike on the bottom. So that's neat. And you do get a mace or club weapon. And you notice that these They do come with clips on the back that you can clip pieces to, but I've noticed that this is particularly thin, and you can sort of see in there that it's already stressing this piece as well. So I think I'm just going to leave the weapons totally off and not risk breaking any of those off. Taking a look at the armor pieces, you will need to kind of constantly push these things up on the arms, over the bicep. When I got mine, all the figures, their arms came totally jacked around, and I really had to manipulate the whole figure and bicep area to get this laying in a nice enough position. But yeah, also to note that the right forearm armor will constantly fall off, or it's loose. It's not like the left hand one where you see where the strap is further up on the arm, so it doesn't rest as neatly on the figure, so you'll be constantly pushing that up as well. And these are sometimes quite loose on the legs too, so you'll have to just push them down as well with when you're posing your figures. They will tend to rise up, and that's really not a big problem, just kind of annoying. So for articulation, again, pretty much the standard for Masters of the Universe Classics. Head up and down, left and right, very nice. Arms do go all the way around, out and in, although the armor here will be very restrictive in terms of posing the arms and stuff. You just have to kind of work around the armor, so to speak, and it's not the easiest thing to do, but you will still get bicep swivel, the elbow bend, and the wrist rotating. Upper torso articulation, forward and back, pretty nice with the armor piece there even. Waist twist, still there. Legs go forward, back, out to the side, rotate at the thigh, bend at the knee. They do rotate at the boot there, if you can kind of see it just a little bit due to the way the boot is sculpted in the front. And ankles go forward and back, and they have a pivot down there at the foot. Like I said, pretty standard, but you will need to work around the upper body armor. But generally, you still can get quite a number of good poses, I think. As for backstory on these guys, well, since they're kind of like army builders, except for Lieutenant Spectre here, who becomes eventually the Mighty Spectre, there's not much fleshed out. But looking at these, I have my own sort of idea about what's going on, and this does kind of work with what's going in the bios and what we know will happen in the future. We do know that the original Duncan, the man-at-arms, this man-at-arms, does get turned by King Hiss into a snake man. And so I think that explains this face here as maybe another member of the guard who was changed into a snake man as well. So I think they've included that as sort of a minion for the Snake Man-at-Arms, which just came out a while ago. So that can be neat. Or it can just be like another lizard-type guy who's working at the palace. Either way you think, but I think that's why they wanted to include a snake-type head, just to give Snake Man-at-Arms a minion. And of course you have the cat person who is from the same race as Chief Carnivus. But I think there's an explanation for this guy, the black guard here. And if you notice that, since we know that Man-at-Arms does become a bad guy, there's a hole to be filled, and you would think that would be filled by the next person in charge, which I would be thinking would be Lieutenant Spectre. However, Spectre becomes the Mighty Spectre, and so he's gone, and so the next senior person available is this guy. And so I don't know, we'll have to see when his figure comes out, but I believe Clamp Champ is a black person as well, so we'll have to see if the sculpt matches up. So I think this could be a young Clamp Champ, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I guess we'll find out if that's what they intended or not. Stay tuned for some more Masters of the Universe Classics figures. And until next time, I'll see you.